So in the last video, we created the HTML structure of the download app section. So in this video, we'll be working on the CSS styling. So now inside our code editor, so the download app section, we give it an ID. And so we're going to copy the ID, Control C. And inside our style.css, then we're going to start writing the styling for the particular section. So since it's an ID, so don't forget your pound sign and the value. Okay, so we start reducing the width to be 60%. So let's say width, say 60%. Okay, so we want everything to be at the center. So we don't want to use flex. So we want to use margin to achieve something like that. Okay, so we can give it margin. So we want the margin top and bottom to be 2%. So let's say 2%. So if you want the to be at the center, so the value for the margin right and margin left, so you can just specify it to be 02. Okay, so Control S. So let's go back to the browser and refresh. You see we have something like this. Okay, you see now they are at the center. Okay, so fine. So now the next thing, we're going to add some padding to it. Padding. So let's say padding. So we want the padding tab and button to be 2%, 2%, then left and right to be 5%. Okay, so now let's save it. So let's go back to the browser and refresh. You see we have something like this. Okay, fine. So the next thing is to use the background image. So now if you want to use a background image, so we say background image. Okay, then you specify URL, okay, and you open your code for instance. So you see this style.css is inside the folder CSS, but we want to access the images within the folder images, so we can do, okay, two dots. That's why we are out of the CSS folder, so we are in the main directory with the CSS images and index.html. That's why we're able to access CSS images and index.html. So we want to access the image inside the images folder, and we want to use this image background one. Okay, so now let's save it. So let's go back to the browser and see. So Control R, you see we have the background image. Okay, so now you see the image is looking somehow. So now let's try to improve it. So there's some properties to add now here. So after the image now, so let's say the background size, we want it to cover. Okay, for instance, we want everything to cover, so Control S. So let's go back to the browser and refresh. You see now it is covered. Okay, fine. Then the repeat, we don't want the image to be repeating. So now let's say not here. Say background repeat, so we give it no repeat. Okay, then Control S to save it. Okay, no repeat. And we want the background image to be at the center. So now let's go back and say background position, background position, I say center, and the background to be at the center. Control S to save it. Okay, fine. You see it's at the center now. Okay, then lastly, let's try to change the text right up to be white. So let's say color, we want the writing to be white. Control S to save it. See now the writing now white. Okay, so now let's create the curve, the background, the border radius. I think we have discussed about border radius when we are creating this button. So now let's add the border radius property to it. Okay, so now let's say border radius. So let's just give it 25 pixel. Okay, Control S to save it. So we have something like this. Okay, so fine, fantastic. You see we are getting somewhere. Okay, so now to improve the design now, in the next video we will continue the video at a time. We will continue working on the design. So to meet in the next video.